games, and this is our entry into the Wicker Man's 200 subs contest. Firstly, congratulations on getting there. Now, he had asked for you to talk about your favourite director, horror director, and the movie that made you love that director. So this was actually really difficult. I very nearly went with Dario Argento because I love the movie Phenomena. But in the end, I had to go with my heart and pick a movie which I've probably seen more times than almost every other film that I've got. I mean, there's a few select movies that I go to and will watch religiously, and as horror directors go, for me it had to be Wes Craven. I grew up loving Wes Craven, especially Nightmare on Elm Street. And it's funny because I just talked about this in the Horror Fan Man's video as well, but it had to be Nightmare on Elm Street. The movie, in my opinion, is like personifies horror. I know that by today's standard, obviously it's not as horrific as like the torture porn stuff that we get, but he's still terrifying, and I challenge anybody to say that they weren't scared of Freddy when they were younger, because the idea of being a child watching a horror film about a killer who kills children in their sleep and then knowing that you have to go to sleep after it. I fell in love with Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street when I was very young, maybe about 7 or 8, and my parents, like, although my dad really liked horror films, he didn't really let us watch them. There was some ones like Critters and stuff like that he would let us watch. Excuse me. But a lot of the time we kind of had to sneak in, and my dad used to watch TV really loud, so me and my sister would actually sneak in the living room. He wouldn't even hear us and like watch it from behind the sofa. But Nightmare on Elm Street for us, my cousins, they had hundreds of horror movies, and Nightmare on Elm Street was one of their favourites, and my auntie and uncle didn't seem to care what they watched. But every time we went to my cousin's house, the first thing we would do is say, let's watch Nightmare on Elm Street, put it on. Now, we probably went between two. We went between the original and part 3, but the first one was the one that scared the life out of me. And it's funny because the VHS tape that they had was actually the really poorly cut version, so the one where, you know, Nancy's setting up all the traps in the house, and I'm so sorry, and Freddy obviously walks into them and gets hit by the mallet. Well, in this VHS, I don't know if it's like a VHS that was like a made for TV one, but it was cut to shreds. In that particular scene, you see Nancy starting to set up stuff, and then it cuts to like Freddy falling down the stairs, so you have no idea what the hell just happened. So for years, I didn't know what that scene was. You also don't get to see him being set on fire. You kind of get to see the aftermath of it. You see her throwing something, and then a wee bit of flames, and then that's kind of it. So for years I didn't really know 100% what the end of that movie was. So when I finally got myself a VHS copy of it, when my parents were finally accepting that I was a horror fan, both me and my sister both absolutely love horror films, and when they came to realise that there was no way they were going to talk us out of watching them and let us have it, finally got to see the full version of Nightmare on Elm Street, and to me it's a genius movie. It's got everything that a slasher film needs, but not like other slasher films, and I'm not taking anything away from ones that people love, but a lot of slasher films kind of have a typical format, so it's like a guy in a mask killing people, and obviously that's scary enough because that would be scary in real life. But Freddy kills you in your sleep, and there's only so long that you can keep yourself awake before he gets you. And for me, that just made Wes Craven a genius, and everything that he came up with for this movie, like he kills you in your sleep, the characters in it, even how the movie starts, and the death sequences, like Tina's death, always petrified me. But everything that the guy came up with, because he wrote it and he directed it, which adds even more to it, for me just made the perfect horror film. Yeah, so my favourite director, because I actually love a lot of these movies, massive fan of The Hills Have Eyes. When I was younger, my mum used to talk about it all the time because she'd seen it and I hadn't, and she used to say the movie scared her, the idea of like your car breaking down and these people in the hills come down to get you. And again, I had never seen that for years, and what actually happened was when DVDs started to become popular, people started to get rid of VHS left, right and centre, and I was one of these people that kind of hung on to the end thinking, no, I'm not going to upgrade, I'm just going to keep my VHS, I love them, because that's how I fell in love with movies. And I know I say that over and over again, but to me, like, as much as Global and Blockbuster were amazing, I'll always remember going into those, you know, those shops, usually corner shops, and at the back of the shop was endless amounts of VHS, and they always had the VHS that the other shops didn't have. And I remember looking at the horror covers and just being fascinated with them, and I wanted them. But off on a tangent. So when people started upgrading to DVD and I refused to do it, my sister and I one day walked into a charity shop, I think it was British Heart Foundation, and somebody had traded in their entire horror collection of VHS. I mean, there must have been about 50 of these bad boys, and they were all ones that were, not all of them, but a good amount of them were ones that had been on the video nasty list, so there were ones you couldn't get before, like Inferno, stuff like that. And the Hills of Eyes was in there, and me and my sister, we didn't have enough money to buy all the ones that were there, and it was so funny because we like grabbed everything we could off the counter, went to the desk and basically said, we're going to buy these, can you hold on to them? And the wee old woman was like, well, actually, there's more upstairs. And I was like, there's more upstairs? She took us up the stairs. Never been upstairs in a place like that before. There was boxes, and we bought the lot and had to carry them home like that. I don't think my mum expected what was coming through the door, but yeah, that was my first experience of getting to see The Hills of Eyes. A couple of years later, I finally caved in and bought Last House on the Left on DVD, which is an amazing movie. I also remember going to my cousin's house, and as well as forcing them to let us watch Nightmare on Elm Street, they also had People Under the Stairs, which I absolutely love as well. And Shocker's just a lot of fun. Swamp Thing's a lot of fun. And then obviously he I want to say relit, that's not the word I'm looking for, but he revitalised horror again in the 90s with Scream. And obviously he's no longer with us, which is a shame because I think the man was a genius. But at least he got to end on a high note with Scream 4, which I know a lot of people didn't like, but I thought it was great. It was a way better storyline than Scream 3. But anyway, I've just gone in a whole big tangent about Wes Craven, but now you can see why I love him so much. I've got books about him, I've watched many documentaries with him in it. The one thing I hate is that I'm never going to get to meet the guy, but you can't always have everything you want. At least he's left us these lasting memories of this amazing franchise that he created. And the first one, and I've got hundreds of Freddy Krueger stuff all over the place. At least I met Robert Englund. Loads of Freddy Krueger stuff. I've got more art on the wall that's Freddy Krueger, more figures that are Freddy Krueger. I've got a whole shelf, don't know what that, shelf dedicated to Freddy Krueger. It just shows you how much I love this movie. But for me, yeah, it's got to be Wes Craven and Nightmare on Elm Street. So yeah, I know I rattled on a bit there, but it just shows you how much I love this guy. But as always, go and check out The Wicker Boy, and congratulations again in reaching 200 subs. I've lost words. What you win if you win this competition's amazing. I want to say gift, but that's not it, right? But yeah, what you get if you win this competition is absolutely amazing. It's a Lucio Fulci book, so go and check him out and you'll see it's absolutely amazing. But as always, thank you for watching. Apologies for the coughing, and please like and subscribe and take care.